So, as I was saying, I worked at Hannigan's department store, a blasted heath with moaning floors where I haunted haberdashery with only the hags for company. Our boss, Mr. King, hid away and spent all his day talking to his ventriloquist dolls. Then Beth arrived, and my new friend and I plotted a way to catch King's eye. Beth learned to throw her voice, and presently she was turning his head as he sat on her knee. As she started to sack staff, I knew that, friend or no, I might get the chop too. Shall I go on? One day I went up to the top floor and into the office without knocking the door. Beth was sitting at Mr. King's desk signing papers. 6 grotesque ventriloquist dolls watched from their chairs. At first I thought Mr. King wasn't there. Then I saw the twitch of a plaster eye, heard the faint echo of a rusty sigh. Of the 6 figures slumped against the wall, Mr. King was the biggest dummy of them all. Have you ever felt taken for granted? Has it ever really struck you that others get the limelight and luck while you watch from the wings, having done hard work? All my life I've watched others find fortune and fun while I've made do with the occasional one-night stand in an alley by the service door where I've given suck to make him want me more. Thanks to me, Beth now ran the whole operation, not that half-wit hermit with a dummy fixation. My plan had succeeded, but suddenly Beth seemed to have forgotten me. Beth introduced Mr. King to the world of modern technology, showed him how it works in the online community, how Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter have made human nature no worse but no better. She showed him the way in this day and age voices can be thrown and thrown on again, all over the globe, misconstruing, mocking, making merry over Mr. King and his captive mannequins. She explained how poisonous those voices could be, what viral devastation they could bring, and finally Mr. King did the sensible thing and made Beth sole proprietor of Hannigan's. Our ally Banksy had backed us all the way. We were the 3 musketeers, Beth, Banksy and me. Banksy made it all work, redundancy packets, new equipment, new stock, and for us, big new wages for dragging the shop out of the dark ages. Good old Banksy. Then came the suggestions. Blackmail sounds so seedy, that led to the signing of the deeds. Banksy was shocked. As far as he knew, Beth's elevation was totally out of the blue. Delegating management was one thing. That was needed, my God, but signing over Hannigan's lock, stock and barrel? Now that was odd. Banksy started asking questions. His size 9s trod on dangerous ground. He began to prod and pester. Beth, 1-person execution squad, struck again, and it was Banksy's head that rolled. Poor sod, when the axe dropped. It's a short step from job to jobless. Oops, it's gone. The breakfast rush, the quick lick and brush and commuter crush, the fleeting greetings and tedious meetings, the worry and flurry and hurry up eating. All gone, replaced with an endless hush. You check your watch and 10 more minutes gone, and still the daylight stretches on, and you think, might as well have a drink. It's a short step from a drink to legless, Oops, you're gone. A breakfast lush. It's just a quick tipple, don't make a fuss. To finish the bottle, no need to discuss it. I've not had enough. Don't look at me like that. Oh, go and get stuffed. She's gone to her mum's. Well, maybe it's best that way, with nothing coming in and the bills to pay. Best not to think. Just one more drink. It's a short step from home to homeless. Oops, all gone. You pack your life in a wheelie case and toss with your friends till you can't face them anymore. So you take your place in a shop doorway while you sort out your head and find your way. You haven't washed, you need the loo. You've got no cash, your coat's wet through. Maybe someone can spare a quid, though it's all cards now and you never did like to beg for favours. You're tired, you stink, you wait till darkness falls and you shrink into the shadows for a drink. Looking up from his pavement pitch, Banksy could see the window blind twitch in the top floor office, and Beth's pale features, and all around her a cluster of staring creatures, wooden, inscrutable, watching him. He thought one of them might once have been Mr. King. Beth didn't like to see Banksy there, clutching his sodden duvet and his despair around him, so she installed a new security guard who was called upon to parade up and down like a Hannigan's bouncer. If some poor beggar asked for a light, he'd pounce, and grasping the victim by waistband and scruff, frog march him off the block with a gruff, "On your way you go, old son," then wiping his hands of him, "Good job done." One day an announcement went up on the staff room board. No more cuts! The shop could now afford to move on to the next phase of development and create an online presence. All the staff said, "Great! It's high time we joined the 21st century." Of course, it would put an end to their jobs eventually, but most of them were the kind who'd vote for austerity, staring down the barrel of a gun, but too dense to see. To celebrate our new ethereal existence, Beth announced a staff party with bar and refreshments. The shop was shut early and decked with fairy lights, and tables were laid out with fancy bites. Music blared from the tannoys, and presently an impromptu disco started in perfumery. Beth appeared, like the Lady of the Lake, with Mr. King clunking in her wake. She did the rounds, pressed the flesh and beamed. Someone curtsied on impulse. Everything seemed to be going well when suddenly Beth raised a trembling finger and whispered, "See that? Look!" Her eyes were wide with horror. We turned to the window. No one. Half in sorrow, half in jest, I said, "It's your wild fancy, but that's what you'd expect from a visionary." The party went on. Beth shrugged and said, "You're right. It's the stress of the job," and her smile was relaxed and bright. But still, she kept checking, looking out into the dark rain for the gaunt and ragged figure at the window pane. "Stop! Stop it!" My therapist told me it's displacement activity. I did it as a child, and she said I shouldn't be surprised if it re-emerged sometimes, particularly when I'm under pressure or feeling vexed. It doesn't happen much, but then I don't often talk about what came next. Hannigan's the website went live. Sale figures leapt, stock went flying from the warehouse we kept in an ex-mining village on a motorway junction with no population and no other function. Hannigan's the shop was no longer needed. Hannigan's the bricks and mortar, glass and leather and wood, was an oddity, a fantasy, a relic, unloved, unheeded. Beth made a deal with developers who could turn a shop into urban dwellings worth $1 million or more before the homeless could get a reeking foot in the door. She did it off her own bat. She never even said, not a word of thanks, not a word of credit. Without me, she'd still be on the shop floor, a sweet little airhead with no more vision than the end of the afternoon and the weekend piss-up at Wetherspoons. So, she'd used her sexuality to carry out our plan, and now she was acting like a macho man, brushing me aside without so much as "excuse me." Well, I'd had enough. No more timidity. No more living down to expectations. Unsex me. Have you ever been a doormat? Do any of you know what it is to be walked over, overlooked, keeping your opinions to yourself while your ideas are set on someone else's shelf? Yes. And they do appreciate you. They love you all to bits, good old you. Why, what would they do without you? Wipey shoes, then off they go to mingle with the singles and the flirts while you hold their dirt. Well, no more. No more being dignified and stoic and maintaining your grace where you're learning lightly just to save her face. No more holding it together while she gets the back slap. I'm not taking any more of that crap. It's not about being like a man or girl power, gay, straight, gender neutral, he, she, who I think I'm meant to be. No, it's not the jealousy, anxiety, the weighing of the measuring, the checking and the assessing how I'm dressing or expressing sexuality. I am more than my body. I am more than what you hear or what you see. Unsex me. Unsex me. I'm breaking out of these chains. I'm taking charge of these brains. I'm shaking up that tree to bring those fruits to me. Unsex me, unsex me, unsex me. Okay. Since the shop had had its day, I thought I'd help it on its way. My plan was simple and foolproof. I went up the fire stairs to the roof. The shop beneath me was full of stuff that would catch straight away. That place would go up like thatch. I had a small can of oil. I saturated the tiles and guttering. Then I lit the match. The fire crept timidly at first, licking the panelling, quenching its thirst, travelling the staircase floor by floor, tasting curtains and cushions, and then with a roar devouring every stitch and display in the store, and finally racing along top corridor, guzzling up Mr. King's old wooden door, watched by the unblinking dummies as it crashes in and reduces each one to a heap of ashes. So Hannigan's went up in a roaring sheet of flame with me on the roof. I was playing a dangerous game, but come on. You know me, and I know where to slip quietly onto the emergency stair. By the time the fire caught, I'd reached the ground and nipped through the alleyway safe and sound. I saw Banksy there with his bundle and cup of coins. He winked and gave me the thumbs up. Okay, so they caught me. That's a shame. I did my best to shift the blame. After all, it saved the developers a pretty pound when that old dump was burnt to the ground. And as they'd been quick off the mark to ensure it, if they'd known what I'd planned, they'd have been all for it. As for Beth and the hags, let's just say we lost touch. I don't know where they went, and I don't care much. In fact, I regret nothing. Except for one thing. They still haven't found Mr. King. The old codger simply vanished from sight and hasn't been seen again since that night. Still, there's something positive in every situation. I served my time, and as rehabilitation I took online courses in mindfulness, learned to think positively, find a plus for every minus, a lining of silver for every cloud. So, equipped with the skills for a blogging career, I left my old self and her violent hands on the past its date shelf. And here I am, unsexed, unchained. My freedom and self-respect regained. Now, how did I get so sidetracked? Look how the time has flown by. It seems too soon to be saying goodbye. I got waylaid by reminiscence and confession. But never mind, I'll see you at our next session. And here's a word of wisdom from my heart to your ears. The most worthwhile power is over your fears. Chin up, stand tall, and face the day. As some bloke said, where there's a will, there's a way. Bye for now. See you soon. And remember, when you want to set the world on fire, when you discover they're all hypocrites and liars, keep up the fight and I might have a lighter I can lend you. You'll rise from the embers just like Lady Anne. Till the next time, bye!